All right, welcome everyone. We're up in Mammoth, a little bit different location, but welcome to 10 with Jen. Grab your glass of water, take a sip, and we're going to settle in for the next few minutes here. All right, good morning, and welcome to another Mindset Monday. I'm Jen O'Sullivan, board certified naturopath, author, educator, follower of Jesus Christ. Every Monday, we spend a few minutes renewing our minds, right? Mindset is something that is important to me. It's important for my people, and it really does shape the way that we all see. I see like challenges, opportunities, life changes into my like different life changes and seasons, right? So today, I want to ask you a question: How often? And I can ask this for myself, right? So, how often do I assume that I have everything planned out and figured out? Okay, so ask yourself that question. How often do I assume that I have everything planned out and figured out? And if I'm honest, I do this all the time. I assume all the time, right? So something doesn't go the way that I planned, and within minutes, I've already written this story in my head. This isn't fair. Why would God allow this? Like, okay, well, it's that person's fault. Right? Does that sound familiar to you? Okay, so I want to give you a couple analogies here. Imagine walking into a theater and it's 45 minutes into the show and you watch for 5 minutes and one character's crying and one is yelling and someone walks away and you immediately decide who's the villain, who's the hero. And then someone's like, hey, you missed the first half and you haven't even seen the ending, right? And that's us, right? I'm judging God's story of my life, right? And which is so small, right? From one 5 minute scene when God wrote the whole screenplay and I'm like a blip in the story, right? But my story, at least, right? He's written the whole thing, and I'm freaked out because of a second of the story. Okay, imagine dumping a 5,000 piece jigsaw puzzle. I don't know how many of you guys play jigsaws. My mom loves it. You know, my husband would like it if it wasn't a mess. But imagine throwing that on a table and then you hand me one piece. And I look at the piece and I'm like, I know what this picture is. It has a little blue on it and a little bit of green and a little bit of brown. And I start making assumptions like it's a beach. Uh, or wait, no, it's a mountain. It's probably a forest. Right? And the truth is, I only have like one little piece. While God is holding on to the box lid and he already knows exactly what the finished picture looks like. And that's totally me. I might experience one difficult conversation or one unexpected slam, right? Somebody says something mean about you. Or maybe you get a very unexpected diagnosis, or one financial setback, or one unanswered prayer, or a closed door. And I immediately begin telling myself this story about what I think God must be doing. Meanwhile, like God isn't just holding the puzzle box top, right? He created the entire thing down to the smallest atom. He sees tomorrow while I'm still worried about this afternoon. He sees the beginning and the end, right? We know this. And he sees every conversation, every opportunity, every blessing, every heartbreak, every purpose that's woven together in ways I honestly can't ever understand. I love Proverbs, right? I love the wisdom in Proverbs, but one of my very favorite passages, and it's on my actual checkbook as well, is 3, 5 through 6, Proverbs 3, 5 through 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. And I remember one year, for an entire year, I made sure that was my quote every single day. Anytime I had blank mind space, I would say that over and over. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. And this is interesting to think about. Notice what it doesn't say, right? It doesn't say trust in him when everything's going well, when everything makes sense. It doesn't say trust him once he explains himself, right? It says that, don't lean on your own understanding. And why? Well, because my understanding is limited and his never is. I've also realized something else about myself. I I'm like an expert blame shifter. My son would call this a D1 blame shifter. I'm a division 1 blame shifter. We joke in our family that we're all blame shifters, right? Seriously. If there was like an Olympic medal for blame shifting, I'd have a really good shot at it. And right alongside that, I'm a really high achieving, high level excuse factory. I can manufacture excuses faster than I can solve problems. I'm too busy. I'm too tired. That person like didn't do what they said they were going to do, or I didn't get any help, or so and so didn't change fast enough. If they would just, if they would just change, if I had started earlier, if I had better body genetics or, right? If, if only, right? It's like I become so good at explaining why my circumstances determine my future, right? It's like, wait a minute. The problem is that the excuse factory, right, that I become quietly shifts my trust away from God and back to myself. So now hear my heart. Like, I know life is hard, like for real, seriously hard. And some of you have experienced tremendous loss. Some of you have been betrayed. I mean, I know I have. Some of you are walking through intense illness, chronic illness. Some of you are carrying burdens that I don't know anything about. And I'm carrying burdens that none of you know about, right? I'm fairly translucent and transparent, but like not translucent, transparent. But I mean, really, we don't want to pretend that pain isn't real. I want you to ask a better question. Ding, 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 right? We want to ask better questions. And the question I'm constantly kind of butting up against is, Lord, will I trust you anyway? Proverbs 16 reminds us that while we make plans, God is still directing our steps, right? Commit your works to the Lord and your thoughts will be established. That's 16:3 Proverbs. Just a few verses later in verse 9 of Proverbs 16, it says, "A man's heart plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps." I love that, don't you? I mean, it's like God isn't against planning. And I think some people think, oh, I should just like, I shouldn't plan anything like today, tomorrow, I'm never going to know. So why bother? Nope. He's not against planning. Planning is wise. I plan my week. I plan my business. I sometimes plan my meals when I'm doing good. I plan projects. But then this is the key. I hold every one of those plans with open hands. Okay, I'm not clinging, I'm not white knuckling them. I'm holding them with open hands because ultimately God gets the final say. And I've learned that some of the greatest blessings in my life have come completely wrapped in disappointment. Haven't you? I mean, doors that I desperately wanted open stayed closed. And I mean, I know you guys hear me on this. Like things I thought it was my calling. And God was like, nope. Like relationships that I wanted restored absolutely didn't get restored or didn't happen the way I imagined it would. But along the way, like dreams changed and plans shifted. And looking back now, I can see God's fingerprints all over those moments. At the time, I couldn't see a thing. I just knew like open hands. Right? I love Isaiah. He reminds us like, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are your ways my ways, says the Lord. For for the heavens are higher than the earth, right? For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your thoughts. This is God talking, right? And maybe that's why anxiety has become so common. I think this through. I think we're trying to carry knowledge that only God possesses. We're trying to control outcomes that were never ours to control. I've often like wondered how much of my own anxiety comes from trying to carry responsibilities that God never asked me to carry. When I insist on controlling tomorrow, my peace disappears. But when I surrender tomorrow to the one who already lives there, right, my heart becomes lighter. And Peter wrote this, right? Casting all your cares upon him, for he cares for you. Not some of your worries, but like all of them. So here's my challenge for you today. The next time you feel anxiety creeping in, I want you to pause. It's so important to pause. And you know, the heart starts racing. You're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Pause. Take a deep breath. Maybe throw some cold water on your face, right? If you have makeup on, I sometimes do it with my hands. It's actually really good to like throw cold water on your arms. It just resets your senses. But I want you to pray. Lord, I only see one small part of the picture. You see it all. Like, it's not hard, right? Okay, Lord, I'm only seeing here, right? When we get stuck in traffic for hours, I only see here. But he might have been saving us from getting into a deadly accident further up if we had made it farther, right? I mean, there's some very interesting things that you can kind of see that, like, okay, I can't see the whole picture. You know, the GPS tells us to go left. And my husband last night was like, where are you going, hon? We're going to get chainsaw massacred right now. We're driving through a podunk town, and the GPS told us to turn left and go through like the housing area. And I'm like, I don't know, we're doing this. And looking back, you could see the massive traffic and construction that was happening through Bishop, right? And I'm like, well, there's no one out here. Like, it was super creepy. But God wanted, I don't know, GPS knows. I don't know if that's through God or not. Like, but again, it's like you just don't know. I know God is sovereign over anything and everything. So think that through. R.C. Sproul, the late R.C. Sproul, said something that was very profound to me. Because if you're going to say that, well, no, God's not really fully sovereign, it's like chance, there's luck. It's so stupid to even consider that, because think this through. If you even believe smallly in God, I mean, let's say you have a small view of God, but you still believe God exists. Think this through for a minute. If God is not in control of every single molecule, right? If even one molecule goes rogue, and it's outside of God's control, then God is not sovereign. And think this through. The next step is that if God is not sovereign, then God is not God, and it's all a lie. Okay? And we know God exists. So this is the interesting thing of intelligent design, right? We won't get into that topic today, but I want you to trust that he's got you, even if it's through a GPS app. It's so crazy to me that we have to remember, Lord, I only see one small part of what's happening right now. You see all of it. Help me trust your wisdom more than my own tiny little understanding. Think this through, right? Peace doesn't come from understanding everything God's doing. Peace comes from trusting the one who does, him, right? All right, have a wonderful Monday, friends. Trust him today. He's already in tomorrow. All right, we're going to see you on Wellness Wednesday. Take care and be blessed.